This evening we have assembled here in this hall to listen to the Sumona Bhattacharya Memorial Lecture to be given by Dr. Syamal Lahiri, Fellow of the American Physical Society. He is also deeply connected with Vivekananda Science Circle. He is a man from physics discipline, and of late he has developed a keen interest on Vedanta, science, Swamiji, Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, we are very grateful to have him with us in managing, directing the department, Science Circle, Vivekananda Science Circle. Now, a brief life history of the mother, Sumona Bhattacharya. Born in Rangoon, Burma, to Gauri and Amulya Ratan Bhattacharya, Sumona moved to New Delhi soon after with her family and earned her BA Honours in History from Indraprastha College and MA in Medieval History from the Delhi University. She got married to Parthasarathi Bhattacharya, a professional engineer from BE College, Shivpur, who was working in New York City at the time. Before moving to the USA, she was initiated by Swami Gambhirananda Maharaj at Belur Math, a formative event that gave her unwavering faith in Sri Ramakrishna Dev and the Holy Mother for the rest of her life. In the USA, Sumona refrained from pursuing material gains of indulge in objects of comfort, pamper, or splurge at the cost of her spirituality. Her library of books were all about religion, Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother, Swamiji, and many disciples. Sumona had in her library of Gita Bitan and Swaro Bitan, all songs and albums of classical songs of India. At all times during her life, he listened to the holy hymns from scriptures of YouTube on Sri Ramakrishna and Sima, sung by many disciples. During her terminal sickness, Sumona composed a number of songs on Sri Ramakrishna and Sima. She was remarkably free of all small talk about others. She had been most unselfish in all her endeavors. She never had vanity, false pretensions, or excuses for not doing any work that she could do herself. She believed in herself and in people. She was kind and equitable to all people. An achievement and a memorial plaque have been installed by the trustees and friends of the Livingstone Public Library, where Sumona worked as an officer. One of her colleagues said, God stopped long ago creating a woman like her. Some others said, very few people would know what a treasure she had been. Another observed, you are a very special person in this planet. Sumona had taken considerable time in cooking delicacies and loved to feed others. Her musical excellence got her an invitation to Kalamandir, Calcutta in 1998. Her devotional songs from Rabindranath were reviewed favorably by the critics in the city of joy, Calcutta. Her album was published by Inreco, a prestigious records company in India, and she donated sales from proceeds of CDs to Ramakrishna Mission and Ramakrishna Mott and Sarada Convent, Sumona's life and work. Exceptional words of praise from colleagues have given credence and validity to the following Upanishadic assertions. Verily, doing work like this in the world, you should live 100 years. Not physically, at least minimum of 100 years, people would remember us if we do such work. And of course, we remember the last verse of the Upanishad, Om Kratasmaro Kritam Smaro, Kratosmaro Kritam Smaro. Krato means mind. Oh mind, Smaro, remember. Kritam means that which we have done. So at the deathbed, we must remember. That has been the prayer for all given by Kathopanishad. This is the instruction. So, oh mind, remember that which was done by me, remember. Oh mind, remember that which was done by me throughout my life. Om Krato Smaro Kritam Smaro. Krato Smaro Kritam Smaro. Very favorite line, oft-quoted line. I am not obtainable by logical arguments. Brahman is not obtainable by logical argument. Noisha tarkena. Utira apunaya. I am not obtainable by logical arguments. Tarket dara jai chora jayana. Take pawa jayana. Not by great intellect or vast learning. I am achieved by them whom I choose to bless. Many years ago, after her morning prayer, Sumona had mentioned to her husband, I would not be born again. The last 3 music albums, Rabindra Sangeet, Bengali and Hindi devotional songs of Sumona are being published. They will be distributed to charity, raising funds in her favorite Ramakrishna Mott and Sarada convents throughout the world. Donations for scholarships in her name and to local medical hospitals from her colleagues and friends have poured in after Sumona's passing. The Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Kolkata, started distributing 5 stipends in her name starting in 2021. This Sumona Bhattacharya Memorial Lecture instituted by her husband, Sri Bhattacharya Bhattacharya. So she left him alone. And she lives on with her sweet memories this way. Whenever we have the chance to announce the date of this lecture, he asked us, kindly send me when you are going to hold this function and who is going to be the speaker. Do it and let me know well in advance so that I can be present. And he has been with us for more than 2 months or so, preparing himself for holding this function, contacting this person, that person. And he had desired to hold this memorial meeting for the whole day itself. But we said that it is not feasible always. Last time we did so. So this shows they were as if born for each other. And one is like a fish out of water without the other. And we feel these pangs of separation that he, Parthuda Bhattacharya has to undergo. So we have all our best wishes for the gifted soul. We pray for her eternal peace in the Ramakrishna Lok. And we also pray to the Almighty for the peace and tranquility to be sought on Bhattacharya Bhattacharya. He's a very good man. And as I said, Dr. Syamal Lahiri, Syamal will deliver Sumona Bhattacharya Memorial Lecture on science, spirituality, and human civilization. So our attendance is quite thin. It is obvious because the lecture is going to be held in English. It is because Bhattacharya family's friends and relations, even from abroad in India, they would be listening to this lecture. That's why we have picked up the language, English, so that it can reach out to the wider public. From all over this globe. So I request Dr. Syamal Lahiri to speak on science, spirituality, and human civilization. The Sumona Bhattacharya Memorial Lecture. Thank you.
I'm a little sorry that I'm sitting and giving talk. Never did before. So I'm physically a little indisposed right now. Yes. Thank you. So today's title you already know. And the subject is, pretty big subject. So I'm sure that I cannot finish that in 1 hour, so I'll try to cut short and talk about some salient points that you might be interested in. Now the first thing actually I like to mention that a few definitions I want to make. Science and technology, so that we can communicate very well on that sense. Science is discovering the truth or ascertaining the truth of external nature without any preconceived dogma, using an impersonal and rational approach that is based on objective and critical thinking, experimentations and/or analysis. Its findings are perceived or understood through our sense organs, mind and intellect. That's the truth. Science has nothing to do with anything else. But we, use the science to for our benefit. How we do that? Then technology comes into the picture. So we call it technology. Technology aims to create or transform scientific findings into various applications to societies, various useful applications, to satisfy the needs and materialistic desires of individuals. individuals and nations. Broadly speaking, science is the the major objectives of these applications, which we get through technology, to increase the material comfort and economic prosperity. Second one, to improve the quality of living, such as education, better health care, transportation, communication, etc. Then third one is to improve the cost performance of a nation's industrial products so that you can go to the market and be very competitive. And then to increase the military capabilities. This is last, but that's very important in today's world, or in the recent world rather, to increase the military capabilities of nations for security, as well as to satiate their selfish desire to have power and control over other nations and resources. So here comes the last one. Actually, you can use a technology for self-satisfying self-gratifications. So all related to self. Now Indians, ancient seers classified science itself into two parts, two broad categories. And they are not, they didn't do much technology, but there are a lot of technologies actually, but ancient seers and rishis mostly found out the truth. And sometimes some applications in medicine and other stuff they did at that time. But the procedure was different, which I'll tell you soon. But India's ancient seers classify science into two broad categories, namely Aparavidya and Paravidya. The goals of Aparavidya are to study and elucidate the working of the external world and discover its mysteries, as are the objectives of modern science also. Now, the findings are realized and understood by our senses and intellects. Instruments help to extend the limits of our senses. However, it does not explain the feelings like love, compassion, etc. clearly, which can propel human beings to even sacrifice their own lives to save others, and thus go against the prototypical Darwinian principle of survival of the fittest. They sacrifice their life. I'm sure that you know some examples that happens. On the other hand, Paravidya, the higher science we call, deals with the study of the internal world of human beings. The main objective in Sanskrit, atho para yataks tadaksharam udhigamyate, in English actually, that deals with the study of the internal world of human beings. The main objective is to discover or elucidate the truth about the unchanging reality behind the diversified universe. As will be discussed in more detail a little later, it is the findings of Paravidya that have the potential to show a pathway to universal love, peace, and human unity, the unity in diversity. The methodology is different from that used in Paravidya science. The first step in the methodology is the concentration of mind and mind control. Paravidya's data do not come through a lot of experiments with instrument and all those. It's mostly actually comes to the mind control first step. So mind control gets you the deep concentration, so much concentration in meditations that even your senses do not work at that time. So in that sense, you see that, in a lake or pond, you see some ripples occurring, and so you cannot see much deeper because of the ripples. But if you can, if the ripple stops, some places you will find that there's no ripple at all, and in a lake maybe. So you can look deeper into that thing. So the idea is that mind always some thoughts are coming up in the mind, and so that because of those thoughts we cannot actually go deep into the mind. So mind control, you make a ripple-free mind, that means And truth is revealed through the ripple-free, transcendent or evolved mind to the seeker of knowledge as direct realizations, Sanskrit aporoksha realizations of vision. However, the differences in methodology, the findings of from both satisfy the definition of truth. Now, truth, one definition is, it is widely accepted that it is the same truth you will discover if you follow a procedure, and no matter which city you are from, which country you are from, desh, kal, patro, irrespective of that, you will find that the same, you follow the procedure, correct procedure, you will get to the same truth, whether you do it now or 500 years later. So that any persons who are skilled in the art, of course, if they do not know how to use the lab stuff, they will not be able to find it. Like for examples, we know that everybody knows that water consists of, every students in the college, science students, it is, in the school students know that is the water consists of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So no matter what in the world, where in the world you are, what time it is, what age it is, and who you are, doesn't make any difference. If you follow the procedure, you will also find out it's H2O. So 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen. Same thing with the Paravidya. This is truth because the same thing is revealed to those ancient seers, I should say, and even modern seers, maybe there are some, in Ramakrishna Mission or other places, they're great seers here. And they can do deep meditations, and many truths are revealed to them through meditations. At that time, their senses don't work, they don't see you, and they don't hear any sound. So that kind of meditation, if one can do, one can actually get some truth or knowledge. And all you do actually, the knowledge we say in Vedanta or other, our scriptures, that everything is in the soul. Soul, which is our real self. And soul or Atman, whatever we call, so everything is there, all knowledge, everything. So if you can contact with that one, that soul actually somehow, then you can get the knowledge. But not in samadhi though. Samadhi is a little deeper. But samadhi, your sense organ doesn't work at all. I mean, even the mind does not work. None of them works. So what you see, you cannot express when you come out of that state. That's the deepest, meditations. So samadhi is slightly different than the normal concentrations I'm talking of. There you can describe what you saw, but if you're in samadhi, the Thakur used to say that, Brahman kakno uchishta haini. That is, it's not, never became, some uchishta, whatever the English is actually. And so that's the way actually. So samadhi is a little bit deeper. We don't have to go to that state. As long as your senses do not work, then you can get to the truth, many truth. And that's the way they got some of the mind-boggling truth. How they do it? They didn't have any equipment that I know of, which we have today, radio telescope or nothing like that. But yet, they got real truth, which science is proving today, the modern science, with all advanced equipment they have. For example, just a couple of examples I'll give you. One is that the age of the earth, our earth. Now, long, long ago, you see now our Purana, and thousands of years ago, or maybe at least 1,500 years ago. No, it's in the Bhagavad Gita also, Upanishad, something like that. So what is there that they say that age of the earth, they determined it was 4.32 billion years. 4.32 billion means 432 crores. And it's unimaginable that how they could say that thing at that time. And in contrast, in London in 1799, a book was published. A lot of scholars were involved, and there are all kinds of publishers were involved. So they concluded in that meeting that God created Earth in 4004 BC. And that has been rubbished long ago, because the dinosaurs were here. That has been proved quite a while ago, for millions of years ago. But how the Indian rishis, our ancient ancestors, found out it's so close in astronomical scale, 432 crores and 450 crores is just 4% difference. So that's within experimental error, one can say, but we don't know that. What scientists found is an estimate. They still cannot say exactly what it is, but they 432 crores fixed. And you can get some of this information, even if you go to Wikipedia, it's there now, it's all over. So that is something marvelous things they found out at that time. And there are other things they found out, as you know, that the whole universe, our Earth universe or universes, whatever it is created, is a manifestation of Brahman, the single source. And then this Big Bang theory and other stuff is coming. You know that now. It's pretty popular. That is some inflection point, some point source, it becomes, it expands, explodes, and it becomes, the whole universe. So this is the Big Bang theory, and our people, our ancestors told at that time that it's a single source. Brahman is manifested all over or in everything. That means single source, not only it comes from, but it is pervading the whole world. That's according to our scriptures. The Brahman is pervading the whole world. The manifestation of Brahman, these creations that we see. So from that perspective, now science found out recently that in 92, I'll give you an example, very interesting story, that they didn't have to be scientists. They could be high school students also. They would have the same knowledge to find out and get a Nobel Prize. So in 1992, there are two big supernovas on the sky, distant sky, 12 billion years away, not light years, years away from here. So it was, almost, close to the creations of the whole universe or universes of Srishti. So that was at that time, so they determined that thing or they decided that one group in Australia will start looking at that one supernova, and another group in the USA would look at the other supernova. Their goal was that, well, we know it's a Big Bang theory very well, so it's an explosion kinds of things, is expanding. So it's slowing down slowly, then like any explosions, then it will stop at some time, the effect will be zero. So the expansion rate would be zero. So then they will probably start contracting or do whatever they want. So that was the thought. Very simple experiments, but they could do that now because of very sophisticated equipment. Radio telescope, which uses Doppler shift. All techniques are all well known. So they have been doing that for a long time now, for quite a few decades. After this instrument, they're following the stars and the heavenly bodies, everything much better. And again, they found that whatever our astronomers, Rishi, said, most of them, I don't know of any exception these days so far, but my knowledge may be limited. So whatever they said, nobody can dispute that thing. So they somehow knew at that time, without any radio telescope, how they knew. The only thing, the meditations, you contact with the reservoir of knowledge inside. If you do that, you can get all the information you need. So so they found out. So they started following the supernova, both groups. After some time, all they're doing actually measuring the velocity with time, or distance traveled. So I measure it now. 1 month later, I again find out that was the distance. Then In another month, I just measured the distance again. We have very good equipment, radio telescope. So you can measure just the distance with time, then you get velocity or retardations, whatever it is. They're lowering the, it was expected to slow down. So they measured, and then they were so surprised and shocked, they didn't dare writing that. They got together, the two teams. Both of them got the same result, because they say it's going against the conventional knowledge. It is not Big Bang-like things that you are talking of. So what can it be? The velocity is increasing. The galaxies are all moving away from each other. Whatever galaxies you see, so in the sky, and that is very clearly visible. But when they measured, they found it's not decreasing. It's the velocity of expansion is increasing. When it increases, means there's a force acting. It's a force acting there. That there is the gravity wants to bring back them everything together, but it's against the gravity it is going. So that was, they were shocked, but they couldn't publish it. They were waiting, getting more data. Then they could not, ignore this data, so they thought they will publish. They published in 1997, 5 years later. And they got Nobel Prize in 2011 for that, all 6 of them. And the same thing that we are saying, Brahman is pervading everywhere. Some energy is pervading, the term is slightly different. Energy is pervading the whole universe, or universes if there is any. So these kinds of, mind-boggling discoveries they made at that time. And so the technique, as I said, no equipment, nothing, through deep meditation, as far as we know, deep concentrations. So there are many more interesting data that science is just, confirming those data, that what they did, because of this all equipments and everything. Another thing I must tell that what they found out, besides this energy, which that means Brahman is pervading the whole universe, this energy is pervading the whole universe. That's the only difference. They don't know even what is energy, where it is coming from. They call it dark energy. Still, it is not known yet that what does that dark energy mean. And so it's going on. But then another thing that, because atomic physics, really progressed over the last 50, 60, 70 years. So we used to think that, starting with Dalton, the smallest things is atoms. So there are, in my school, that when I first started to know atoms. But then it changed completely. From atoms, it became protons, neutrons, then electrons. And those things actually the main fundamental particles or elementary particles, combinations of whom are making different atoms. So that's when they found, in my childhood actually, when I was in school, I think, in 50s or something, like 40s or 50s. And so that one they proved now also. That they found that they came down to only 2. One is quark, another is electron. That is only everything that we see in the whole universe, our body, oceans, mountains, trees, this table, chair, everything is made of those 2 particles. Different combinations, that's all. And so it's coming to the same thing. Even electrons, quark, there is some similar aspects. So maybe later they will find out they are also same thing, or some other funny, different, or another material is there which forms both. It's unlikely. So it's gravitating towards the same findings of mainly our ancestors, because nobody was there at that time. Civilization started here long ago, which I think when we are under Western control, they didn't want us, they wanted to destroy our self-confidence. And so they always try to suppress all those information, seem they knew, but they didn't know it actually. And so this these aspects actually, there are many more examples I can give you, but I think I go back to the main subject. And so we did a wonderful work, and we did it not 2,000 years ago. Even say in the 1950s, they were saying that, not before that, they are saying that, the Vedic civilization started from 500 to, up to 2000 to 500 BC. And that's not true at all. Then later digging and carbon dating has proved that Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, they are 5,000 years old, or 5,000 BC probably. And now they stopped there. So then they changed the story a little bit. They said, okay, it's from everything, knowledge and everything started maybe 3,000 years ago. The epochs, they divided the time scale. And the oldest epochs, the record they have for anything happening, any event, is 3,000 years ago. So they started from whenever they write something to 3,000 years ago, up to 2,000 years ago, at one epoch, something like they would say to explain. But now we find that things start in Haryana. A couple of places they found another Indus Valley civilizations like stuff, which is they already determined. Digging is not complete. It's 8,000 years old. So previously they used to say Mesopotamia or Egypt may be older than Indian civilizations. It's not true anymore. These are recent results. I think they started digging under India governments in the Archaeological Survey of India. And they got those data. They are not publishing everything now, but enough they published because it went to Wikipedia and other Britannica and all those books. So, and it's well known now, it's coming. And that up to 8,000 years old record they have proved. So when digging is complete, nobody knows that how far it will go. Another thing, we got this star, we're so knowledgeable about astronomy at that time. People cannot imagine even how we used to use the stars for determining the age. Like, you know that Dhruvotara, pole star. Pole star is Earth, when Earth is rotating, so when the north-south axis, wherever it hits the sky, the star there is pole star by definition, Dhruvotara. Now, what happens, that there is not one Dhruvotara, there are 9 Dhruvotaras. I think 9 or 10, 9, I think 9, what I read. So what they do, that when the globe is in our Earth, this is a globe, it's wobbling. You see that it's a toy, Lattu, right? Top, Lattu. And Lattu wiggle a little bit, and wobble a little bit when it slows down, you could say. So when you wobble, Earth also wobbles like that. It's called precession. The scientific term is precession. So when it wobbles like that, the axis, north-south axis is changing. So the star, they will be pointing different. So Dhruvotara or the pole star is changing. And from the same Dhruvotara to come back on our Earth, the one we have now, will take 26,000 years. In other words, the period is 26,000 years. It's a long time. So probably one Dhruvotara is there probably about 3,000 years or something like that. So now with Dhruvotara, you can connect actually, lined up the pattern, star pattern, you can line up. There are major stars, stars are in the heavenly bodies like moon, sun, and we can get very good record from our literature, old literature. Like Mahabharata said, Vishwa died in Uttarayan when the sun would be in these positions. And when in our childhood, they used to make Bengali tithi. Even now, some of the things are tithi, because they're both the moon's positions, sun's positions. Those are written in the ephemeris, Panjika, something like that. So that is very helpful to determine that when that pattern, star pattern was on the sky at some historical incidents. So they don't have to do carbon dating, something like that, because they may not find anything. Like when the Ramayana was really happened, the incidents of Ramayana. when Mahabharata or Kurukshetra war happened, when Bhagavad Gita was written during that time period. So they can do that thing, and they did that. In fact, there was a lecture we arranged a few months ago. He wrote a book, Professor Amitabh Ghosh, and he compiled all the data from different places. Nice book. So you can get that how the star patterns are used. That when the sun would be there, moon would be there, like that, you can know that thing. And in our epics, some of the descriptions, in the description they put those data. Chandra Nakshatra kothay ache. They always talk about that. So that one is getting very popular these days to get some idea that when things happen, the chronology. And so in that sense, the Dhruvotara, in that sense we can make one conclusion. I think our Birla Academy we have in the Esplanade area, one article they published, I don't know whether they're still alive or not. So whether the article said that in Samhita, Rig Ved, Samhita, in one Samhita they mentioned Abhijit Nakshatra as the Dhruvotara. Now they knew that thing, our ancestors knew those things. So, but they found out those things and they wrote an article. And so 26,000 years ago, the same Dhruvotara, later rather, same Dhruvotara will see Abhijit on our sky as Dhruvotara for a few thousand years. And so from that you can calculate. If Rig Ved, somebody wrote, somebody found mention Abhijit Nakshatra, then that was the Dhruvotara or pole star at that time. Now, so many 26,000 years passed probably, in between. But we had the same Abhijit Nakshatra as Dhruvotara in 10,000 years ago. That means another 16,000 years later, then again Abhijit Nakshatra would be our Dhruvotara. So Rig Ved must have been written 10,000 years ago, or 26 plus 16, 42,000 years ago, or 80,000 years ago, long, long ago. Now, whether any civilization was there at that time, what they knew, nothing, materialistic evidences we have dug up. But it's going on slowly. Maybe they will do that thing, because even some artifacts are available, maybe they're deep into the earth. So nobody dug into that level. We don't know. But very fact that ours is at least 10,000 years old, Rig Veda was written. Of course, that was Ice Age. So how good that one was, I don't know. So maybe, 42,000 years ago. So then that matches with a lot of some of the descriptions actually in Puran and other books actually. It doesn't matter. And also you remember the Ramayana actually, that Hanuman woke up after a deep sleep in the mountain, and he looked at the sky, that for nakshatra. And he determined by looking at the sky that, a yuga has passed. Something like that is mentioned there. So there some method was there. It cannot come by imaginations, by Valmiki or whoever it is. That was something known thing at that time. That's more likely than purely imaginations. So we really don't know when our civilization started, and so that part. I'm taking too much time going aside though, because I still did not come to the main subject. I'm sorry, but I'll still try to finish in time. So this is very old, and lot of mind-boggling discoveries they made. It is turning out to be true. So now we have for our new generations probably forgot much of those, so they don't care because they don't read. They say all imaginations and stuff and other stuff, but there's scientific proof now. If anybody who is interested, they can find these things in libraries. It's no problem at all. So we have a very, very old civilizations. And what they taught at that time? And whatever they taught, not with the deluge of blood, not the wails of orphans, not the crying of widows. They did by just simply through their wisdom, knowledge, they spread the India's influence spread it almost most of the world. Even I saw in an American museum once that they are showing some Maya Subhuta in Peru. And there they read that it's probably there are some connections with those Subhuta and the Indian Subhuta. So it's still, it's a very hot subject, very interesting subject. But, we are the one actually who are denying most of the stuff in India. This is the Western scientists, scholars, they don't do that. In fact, they're mesmerized by the scientific findings that they did. Voltaire, he was born in, I think, late 1500 and passed away in 1676 or something like that. So he wrote, this is in written account, that whatever we are discovering these days in science, all these Brahmins by the side of the Ganges knew that long ago. And there are some evidences which say that Pythagoras came to India, and a few BC, a few years before Christ was born. He was here for quite some time. Nobody knows exactly how many and how long he was here. So he never claimed Pythagoras' theory, but at that time, Bodhayans, he talked about already the same theory that he explained. And astronomy, there are a lot of other things, but anyway, I come back to my original stuff actually. So science part, and this is kind of spirituality, I haven't come yet, but we'll start do that thing here. Sorry for the distractions, maybe you're already getting bored. Now, science, what they did, which we did not do, is they converted the scientific findings into useful applications for a human being, and which make you feel better. You have the wonderful transportation systems now. Since the West came into the picture, they are very, very fast and very good and thorough in technology development, which our ancestors did not bother. They're still probably going by the bullock cart or something like that. So they could have done that thing, but they never bothered with that thing. They were happy with the truth. And now Western scientists, and there are great, great scientists born in the Western, in the West. The technologists, humanitarians, and knowledgeable people. They are world-class citizens, most of them. The truth is truth. They don't bother whether it came from India or not. So they dug up a lot of stuff. I think Bhagavad Gita was first translated in 1780s, and by Warren Hastings put something in English, and that's the way it got publicized at that time in the world. And they were simply spellbound. They're not everybody. They still don't understand, like we don't understand either what they say. But definitely that, and so they did a lot of things to dig up our own informations. And like Max Muller, Schopenhauer, and they have only good things to talk about Indian knowledge. And there are many other scientists, I saw reports that they really gave glorious tributes to Indian ancient seers for their findings in such an old age, in old times. So with that, very, very long introductions, I will go back to. So now, coming back to the main topic again, that this, a concentrated mind can come up with the truth. Very, very deeply concentration, so you can get the truth. And another that some of the truths that we find, scientific truth, they can be used for both purposes. One for the society's benefit, humanity's benefit. Another one, the same technology, they find technology to destroy the world, totally, this human race. Like fission and fusion, the scientific facts came out. So fission and fusion can be used for energy productions, clean energy productions, and that's a wonderful things for the society. But it can also be used for making thermonuclear bombs. Which so many of them we have in the world right now already. Only a small fraction, if somebody explodes in their own country, the whole world will be gone. I don't know whether any of you has seen the two documentaries which made a lot of noise in America. And that was one called Day After, another is Threat. So you can probably old references in some Wikipedia or something, you can find there something. But their maybe library, National Library may have the copies of those things. That's dreadful. That what can happen, the scientists decided what can happen after the nuclear war. Just a small number, you don't need many. You don't have to explode all the nuclear bombs we have right now. So same fission and fusion technologies can do both, wonderful things and the bad things. So it's the mind itself which determines that which applications I should use it for. So obviously, we are in a plane right now in the development. We are getting self-centered, selfish, self-preservations, self-centeredness, and we want to, increase the more and more comfort, sensual comforts we look for. We are not content, we forget. If I have 2 cars, and if you see the neighbors have made 4 cars, then I'll try to buy 4 cars, if I have money, plenty of money. So the attitude is developed, it's a Western attitude, materialistic attitude. We didn't have that, not even in my childhood. We didn't have that. Right now things have changed now. The British tried to change our culture, and they knew very well that as long as we have that culture, then we will not, they will not be able to stay here for infinite time. You probably heard of Macaulay, and a very famous English politicians. Macaulay, maybe I can find that out there. There is a statement he made in the parliament in 1835. Statement he's saying that one fact I didn't know, that there was no thief, nobody steals anything. In 1835 he said, I have that quote actually here someplace. So he said that I have traveled nooks and corners of India, and I found that they have such a great, tremendous sense of the Indian heritage that we cannot, we cannot stay there for infinite time in India unless we change their culture. And the only way we can do that thing, that we teach them English. Then a class will be, the class will be created, and they will actually do, much of the things interfacing the public, and they will lose their culture, but they will be the privileged class, getting favor from the government and all other people. So that's what they did actually. They passed the law in England, and they applied it to apply here. And that English were still, as a hangover from that thing. Our people, they don't know much about our own culture. They know much of the Western culture. So they follow Western cultures as much as possible, that enjoy, that, that insatiable appetite for more and more sensual pleasure. So that creates wastage, which was not the, teachings of our ancestors. We used to say actually, Maharaj is here, I feel humble a little bit to talk about Gita or Upanishad, because I don't know anything practically. So this is that teno tyakteno punchita. That means you renounce your selfishness or attachment, to the for anything. Then you should enjoy in that way, and that's no longer true actually. We just always want to get more and more sensual pleasures, more and more, and so we're using the science for that purpose only. So if you look at the history, again, some of you may be from history, that British actually brought this materialistic culture to our country. We didn't have that. We didn't have that, though we are not very fighting race, conquering race, but we didn't go outside, but they came. And the reason is this West, with the 10% populations of the world, they occupied about 80% of the globe, of this earth. 80%, migrating, moving, Australia, Canada, South America, and they settled there. So they have now 80% of the world where they are living. And so obviously they don't have any population problem. And they have a tremendous amount of resources at that time, particularly when they had military power. So that tremendous amount of resources available from the occupied land. Slave resources were available. So they did all those things actually to build up their economy and industrial revolutions. Resources, both material resources and human resources, they used to take from India, preferred. And from Africa, they used to take to America to be slaves. So, and their laws, I don't know if they know about that, things, horrible laws for them at that time. So there is nothing humanitarian in that case. And so this is the way, actually, they control the whole world. And now they are moving, and they're spread all over. So their culture they spread. And India was the last bastion. They could not win the culture-wise. That is proven by Macaulay's writing in 1835, a speech, that still they don't steal anything. And they have too much, attachment to their heritage, culture. So these are the words that he used. And so obviously that's a good thing to know, that in spite of the foreign rule and the foreigners ruling us for 800 years at that time, and we still did not lose our culture. And it's still there. So spirituality has not died yet. Maybe it's just died in the people who among many people who are westernized and who are changing, more westernized than Indians. But you still find them in the deprived people, underprivileged people. You see a lot of qualities which you attribute to spirituality. Now, spirituality, one of the definitions that I use often is from Bhagavad Gita, that Doibigun, divine qualities, or divine attributes. There are 26 of them. So more you become divine, more we evolve in your mind, or more your mind evolves, more manifestations of the divine qualities. And that's the same thing as more spiritual you become. Because what are the divine qualities? Some of them, truthfulness, compassion, love and compassion for all. Then absence of greed, absence of malice, and all these wonderful things that they talk about, and those are the manifestations. So whoever got the manifestation, those qualities, is more spiritual. So that's the spirituality that I depend on, and that's pretty much the same thing that everybody says, though there is some difference in interpretations. But that's the basic thing for spirituality. One is spiritual, its mind is evolved further. And so the higher state of mental evolution is critically important, not only for realizing or envisioning the truth revealed through Paravidya, but also for determining which applications the scientific findings should be used for. Therefore, I'll first take up the subject of evolution of the mind and its implications to human civilizations. Already my time is up. 5 minutes, okay. So the civilization, the current civilizations we are going through, that's raises some questions. Let me just tell about that. Anyway, I can tell you without us going to that thing. The point is that there is a tremendous inequity in these civilizations. Inequity among or inequitable distributions of wealth among people. The poor in Africa or India or some other places, they don't get the same kinds of medical health care. They do not get the same kinds of food. And so this is like that. So this inequitable society we formed through these civilizations. And one class actually going richer and richer, wealthier and wealthier, others do not have anything. Second thing, that still the animalistic feelings are prevailing in us. More animalistic. Now, mind is spread over a spectrum. Some people's mind are divine. They got wonderful, wonderful qualities that all of us, or many people in the whole world cherish those qualities. And so another thing that animal-like, self-centered, that kind, mostly self-centered, self-interest, self-gratifications they want. The median is still near our median of mental planes are still near the animal. So there are not many people who are divine. Now, as a result, what happens that our decisions as a human race is mostly controlled by still animalistic feelings. So animalistic self-centeredness, should the human being have that one or not? That's the questions actually one has to ask. And that is, if that is there, then second thing will come this war that, you see that in the last 11 decades or 10 decades, including First World War II and Second World War II, we have many wars. Right now one is going on in Ukraine. That has the potentials to be a world war, and because the two superpowers are involved somehow or the other. And so, and then the Vietnam War, then Indian-Chinese War, and then all for self-interest. So they do, no matter how sugar-coating they make, the purpose is self-interest. They're controlling the three things in the world, which is very good. One is to have our economic health. We must have energy supply. And the energy, at that time at least previous, so solar energy, it was mostly oil, coal, all those things. So wherever the oil-rich countries, so all Western countries have the vested interest in go there. Oil or gas. And so energy, then pharmaceutical. Lately pharmaceutical has become very big industry. You can make some vaccinations and stuff like that and keep doing that thing every year. It's a tremendous amount of money. Pfizer got very rich when the revenue was going down. At that time COVID came to them as blessings. So from 5 billion revenue, it went up to 20 billion in 1 year because US government was giving everybody free, those that are buying from them. India, they couldn't get in because they asked for $30 per vaccine, which India would have gone bankrupt if it would have done that thing. So India did not allow them to come in. And $30 was not acceptable at all. Our Indian government could not support that kind of price. So this is the way that the energy, then energy and this pharmaceutical industries, and third is third is this defense. So these are the big things, for earning money from the worldwide. And everybody wants to control those things. And so this is the kind of all sugar-coating word, but if you look at the history from 50s, after Second World War and Second World War, then all those little wars started because of self-interest, if you analyze properly. Not what the columnists should be telling about, because they have also vested interest. So that's the kind of, so a self-centeredness has become, very, very high in these civilizations. And then also, so these kinds of disparity among the society, is it sustainable? Is it desired? These are the questions one should ask, that whether this violence-prone, this inequitable society they want their children, grandchildren to live in future, or future generations to live in. The most likely the answer would be no by majority of the people. So this is this civilizations that is going on, right? The current civilization is going to cause a lot of problem continually, wars and other things. The possibility is very high. So in that case, actually, you got to think of alternative. And what did India did? India's never have any, we're not a conquering race. We never, conquered the other countries, using our power when you could have used that even. So I could just read you one thing before I quit, that what Swamiji said about the Roman Empire and Greek Empire, one of the oldest ones in Europe. And then I'll end after that. I'm sorry. It's beautiful. Swamiji's statement was beautiful on that. I wish that I could read it for you. But our civilization is different. And this is the only one actually who is talking something against the grain. That whole world is actually going in one direction. And India somehow still now, they are more spirituals than any place in the world. Our teachings, I'll tell you that this Swamiji's statement, look upon every man, woman, and everyone as God. You cannot help anyone. You can only serve. Serve the children of the Lord, serve the Lord Himself, if you have the privilege. Blessed you are that privilege was given to you when others had it not. Do it only as worship. The poor and the miserable are for our salvation, so that we may serve the Lord, coming in the shape of the diseased and the leper and the sinner. Bold are my words, and let me repeat that it is the greatest privilege in our life that we are allowed to serve the Lord in all these shapes. So I should end here because the time is up. Thank you very much for patient hearing.
So I thank you, Syamal, for your beautiful exposition of the two concepts. But as you are a scientist, you have more access to scientific knowledge than spiritual. But actually, that should not happen. Each of us should have some inquisitive mind. It is the mind and intellect with which we do work in the secular world, and also we do to ourselves. We put our mind in secular activities and we gain knowledge to have things we do not have. So our goal, the first goal in our life is to have and to hold things we do not have. Yogaksemo. And the second half of our life should be need yogaksemo, atmavan. When you know yourself, you will give up this chase. Yogaksemo is not for us even. So that's why the whole truth is this, that to have and to hold is as good a trust, a truth, to avoid and to quit. So we want to collect things which we do not have and try to preserve. So accumulation and preservation. So this is our secular goal. And we employ our body, employ our mind and intellect towards that. These two goals. And it has to be replaced by the other goal, to quit and to avoid. You have to be unselfish. You have to look within. You know the world outside, but you do not know yourself. We study the properties of matter. So actions and reactions are equal and opposite. Then I slap you, a person. Now what would be your action as a human being? Would you slap me back? A teacher slaps a boy creating problem in the class. Would the boy come up to the teacher and slap back? No. This is not the property of a human being. He may do, he may not do. He may be doing in the positive direction or maybe negative direction. You have to know yourself also, your mind. We apply mind and intellect to collect things and enjoy, but we do not know what sort of things or entities are mind and body and intellect. So body is not myself. I am not the body. I have the body. I am not the mind. I have not the mind. I have a mind. I am not the mind. I have the intellect. I am not the intellect. Because these body, mind and intellect, these are the products of something higher thing. And we are to know the first cause, the uncaused fact in life, which is not a result of cause and effect. And that we always experience in deep sleep, Atman, spirit. So we have a spirit. But unfortunately, that spirit with which we are one, identified, for 5 to 6 hours a day, we do not care to look at it. We do care to nourish our body, mind and intellect, because these are all visible or perceivable. That is a problem. But this body, mind and intellect, these are all active because of that spirit. After a day's work, we feel tired and go to sleep. What does it mean? That we are one with the spirit, we are one with our own nature. We are one with our real nature, divine consciousness. And that makes us fresh. Our fatigue is gone. We remain fresh. If you cannot sleep for 2 or 3 days together, you would go mad. But for 5 to 6 long hours, we are one with that. And you have to know that consciously by applying mind and intellect. That is spirituality. And you have to be unselfish. You have to give up everything that you have so diligently collected for your consumption and preservation. And in death you will have to bequeath everything. But you do it consciously right now. That's it. While living, you have to do that. That's why Sister Nivedita has summarized Swamiji's concept. Swamiji's advent like this, his philosophy like this: to have and to hold is as good a truth as to quit and to avoid. This part, accumulation and preservation, is all okay. We must have decent living, but that part we must know ourselves. And for that, you have to be unselfish. The long passage from Swamiji you quoted, it's essentially preaches this fact that you have to be unselfish. You have to be unselfish. Whatever you have to manage, to give, to distribute. And Swamiji once told Nivedita, Nivedita wrote it in her letter. You see, all accumulations are for subsequent distributions. Only the fools do not see that. All accumulations are for subsequent distributions. Nirbodha dekhte paye na. So we don't want to be fools. We have to be givers. We have to give up. Not collector, accumulator. That's it. Yogakshema is all good. But Nirjogakshema Atmavad, that is the best. I should say the better. We have to practice both. Science gives us this affluence in the physical world, and religion or spirituality, not religion. Spirituality gives us affluence in the area of self-knowledge. Not that we are becoming paupers, we are becoming poor. And the relation between these is that the more you have, the less you are. The more you have in physical world, the less you are in the spiritual world. So you have to be rich here. You remember Jesus Christ saying, the rich will have no way to get to the kingdom of heaven. Rich in the world. Anyway, it is already late. I thank you all. Though very small, but you are all qualitatively very great. And I thank you, Dr. Syamal Lahiri, and of course, Sri Bhattacharya for his tremendous love for the wife, Sumona Bhattacharya. So in a way, your yearly meeting over here will remind us of the Taj Mahal, the monument of love of a person. Thank you. Namaste.
নমস্কার। এতক্ষণ